Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of What Happened. Today we're diving into one of the most historic moments in music award history, a breakthrough that took over 70 years to achieve and shattered barriers that many thought would never come down. This is the story of how K-pop finally won its first Grammy, but not in the way anyone expected. Picture this. It's February 1st, 2026 at the Crypto.com Arena in Los Angeles. The Grammy Awards are underway, and somewhere in the mix of traditional pop stars and established artists, three young women are about to make history. But here's the twist. They're not real. They're animated characters from a Netflix movie that nobody saw coming, representing a fictional K-pop group that would outsing, outstream, and ultimately out-Grammy some of the biggest names in real music. This is the story of how Golden became the golden ticket that K-pop had been waiting for, how a song from an animated movie achieved what BTS couldn't in 5 tries, and how the most-watched Netflix film of all time accidentally became the vehicle for one of the most significant cultural breakthroughs in Grammy history. But to understand just how massive this moment was, we need to rewind and look at the long, complicated relationship between K-pop and the Grammys. Because trust me, it's been a journey filled with hope, disappointment, and a whole lot of controversy. Let's start with the elephant in the room, BTS. For years, they were the face of K-pop's Grammy dreams. Starting with the 2019 Grammy ceremony, when their album Love Yourself Tear was nominated for Best Recording Package, not even for the music itself, but for the album artwork. BTS began what would become a 5-nomination streak that never resulted in a single win. Dynamite at the 2021 Grammy ceremony seemed like their big moment. It was their first English-language track, it hit #1 on the Billboard Hot 100, and it earned them their first nomination for Best Pop Duo Group Performance. The members stayed up late to watch the nomination announcements, their reactions were priceless, and ARMY, that's their fan base, was convinced this was finally it. But they didn't win. Lady Gaga and Ariana Grande took home the trophy for Rain on Me. The same thing happened with Butter at the 2022 Grammy ceremony. Another English-language hit, another #1, another nomination in the same category. Another loss, this time to Doja Cat for Kiss Me More. At the 2023 Grammy ceremony, BTS had earned 3 more nominations for My Universe with Coldplay, yet to come, and their album work with Coldplay, bringing their total to 5 Grammy nominations. Still no wins. The pattern was becoming painfully clear to fans. BTS could dominate global charts, break streaming records, and sell out stadiums worldwide, but the Grammy voters just weren't convinced. And it wasn't just BTS. Blackpink's Rosé would eventually get nominated in 2026 for APT with Bruno Mars. Other K-pop acts had been snubbed entirely despite massive success. The Recording Academy, it seemed, had a K-pop problem. Critics pointed out the obvious. Here was a genre that had conquered every other metric of success. Billboard charts, streaming numbers, global tours, merchandise sales, social media dominance, but couldn't crack the one award show that American music industry still considered the gold standard. Some said it was about language barriers. Others argued it was cultural bias. Many fans believed it was simply racism, dressed up as artistic preference. Whatever the reason, K-pop kept knocking on the Grammy door, and the Grammy door kept staying closed. Enter KPop Demon Hunters. In June 2025, Netflix released what initially looked like just another animated kids movie. Directed by Korean-Canadian filmmaker Maggie Kang and Chris Applehans, it told the story of HUNTR X, a 3-member girl group who secretly battle demons between concerts. Think Sailor Moon meets Hannah Montana with a supernatural twist. The movie followed Rumi, Mira, and Zoe, voiced by Arden Cho, Mei Hong, and Ji Young-yu, as they balanced their pop star careers with saving the world from demonic forces. Their main enemies? The Saja Boys, a rival boy band who happened to be actual demons. It was colorful, energetic, and seemed tailor-made for kids and K-pop fans. But something unexpected happened. Instead of being just another animated movie that kids watched a few times and forgot about, K-pop Demon Hunters became a cultural phenomenon that nobody saw coming. The numbers were staggering. Within 10 weeks, it became Netflix's most-watched movie of all time, racking up over 236 million views and dethroning Red Notice, a movie starring Dwayne Johnson, Ryan Reynolds, and Gal Gadot, from the top spot. But it wasn't just about views. The soundtrack exploded. Golden, performed in the movie by the fictional HUNTR X, and sung by real artists EJAE, Audrey Nuna, and Rei Ami, didn't just chart, it dominated. The song spent 8 weeks at #1 on the Billboard Hot 100, something that hadn't been achieved by a soundtrack song in decades. Even more remarkably, the movie's soundtrack became the first in history to have 4 songs simultaneously in the Billboard Top 10: Golden, Your Idol, Soda Pop, and How It's Done. No soundtrack had managed that kind of dominance since Saturday Night Fever in 1978. The cultural impact was immediate and massive. HUNTR X characters became the most popular Halloween costumes of 2025. Korean lyrics from the songs were being sung word for word by American kids who didn't speak Korean. The movie spawned TikTok dances, memes, merchandise lines, and even tourism boosts to Korean cultural sites featured in the film. Netflix, recognizing lightning in a bottle, did something they rarely do. They gave the movie a theatrical release. The sing-along version of KPop Demon Hunters became the #1 movie at the American box office, earning between $18 to $20 million, Netflix's first #1 theatrical hit. By the end of 2025, the cultural footprint was undeniable. According to Nielsen data, Americans had watched 20.5 billion minutes of KPop Demon Hunters, equivalent to 207 million full movie watches. It had become the most streamed movie of the year, beating everything else by enormous margins. And then came awards season. Golden started its sweep early, winning Best Original Song at the Golden Globes. The song was nominated for an Oscar, and when Grammy nominations were announced, there it was. Golden wasn't just nominated in 1 category, but 4, including the coveted Song of the Year, one of the Grammy's big 4 general field categories. This was significant. Previous K-pop Grammy nominations had been confined to genre-specific categories, but Golden was competing with the biggest songs of the year across all genres. For the first time, K-pop wasn't being segregated. It was being judged alongside everything else. The team behind Golden represented a fascinating blend of Korean and American talent. EJAE, a Korean-American artist who co-wrote and sang lead vocals, had worked with Mark Sonnenblick and a team of Korean producers including Teddy and 24, who had previously worked with major K-pop acts like BTS and Twice. When Grammy night arrived on February 1st, 2026, for the 68th Annual Grammy Awards, the tension was palpable. BTS was on hiatus. Blackpink's Rosé was nominated, but not expected to win. If K-pop was finally going to break through, it would be through 3 fictional characters and a song from an animated movie about demon-fighting pop stars. The award was announced during the pre-telecast ceremony, where most technical and specialized categories are presented. EJA and the songwriting team accepted the Grammy for Best Song Written for Visual Media, and in that moment, K-pop finally had its first Grammy win. But here's where it gets interesting and controversial. EJ, speaking to press after the win, was clearly emotional about the significance. "It's so incredible to have the song Golden being sung all over the world, singing the Korean lyrics word by word," she said. "I think this award is about representation. Today's about celebrating culture and music that unites all cultures." For many, this was the breakthrough moment K-pop had been waiting for. Korean media celebrated. Fans around the world rejoiced. The Grammy barrier had finally been broken. But critics were quick to point out the complications. Golden, while featuring Korean lyrics and produced by K-pop veterans, wasn't exactly a traditional K-pop song. It was created for an American-produced Netflix film, performed by Korean-American artists, and designed to appeal to global audiences rather than Korean ones. Music critic Lim Hee-yoon argued that Golden sounded more like American pop than traditional K-pop, which may have made it more accessible to Grammy voters who had previously been resistant to the genre. The song structure, with EJ as a lead vocalist rather than the typical K-pop group dynamic, didn't follow conventional K-pop patterns. Others questioned whether this really counted as K-pop's first Grammy win, or if it was more accurately described as the first Grammy won by K-pop-influenced music. The distinction might seem minor, but for fans who had watched BTS get passed over repeatedly, it felt significant. Cultural critic Young Deok-hyun offered a nuanced take. Golden shows how K-pop is evolving. When you remove the K, it becomes closer to pop. The song sounds more like American pop than K-pop, which likely made it more accessible and successful. This raises fascinating questions about cultural authenticity versus mainstream acceptance. Had K-pop finally won a Grammy by becoming less distinctly Korean? Was this victory about breaking down barriers, or about conforming to existing American standards? The answer probably lies somewhere in between. Golden succeeded because it bridged worlds. It maintained Korean linguistic and cultural elements while embracing production styles and song structures that American audiences found familiar. It was K-pop, but it was also just good pop music that happened to include Korean elements. What's undeniable is the impact this win had on the industry. Within weeks of the Grammy victory, record labels were scrambling to find their own golden, Korean-influenced music that could appeal to both K-pop fans and mainstream American audiences. The success also validated Netflix's investment in Korean content. Following the global success of Squid Game, KPop Demon Hunters proved that Korean cultural content could dominate American entertainment when given the right platform and production values. For Korean artists, the win opened doors. If fictional K-pop characters could win Grammys, surely real K-pop artists could too. The precedent had been set, the barrier had been broken, and the pathway had been illuminated. The win also coincided with broader cultural moments. Just days later at the same Grammy ceremony, Bad Bunny would win Album of the Year for his Spanish-language album, marking another historic breakthrough for non-English music at the awards show. These victories suggested a shifting landscape in American music appreciation, one where language and cultural origin mattered less than quality and global appeal. The Grammys, long criticized for being too insular and too focused on American music, were finally beginning to reflect the global nature of modern music consumption. But perhaps the most significant aspect of Golden's victory wasn't what it meant for K-pop as a genre, but what it meant for representation in entertainment. EJAE, as a Korean-American artist, embodied the experience of millions of Asian Americans who had grown up between cultures, never quite fitting perfectly into either world. Her Grammy win sent a powerful message to young Asian Americans that their cultural duality wasn't a limitation, it was a strength. They could be authentically Korean and authentically American simultaneously, and that combination could create something powerful enough to conquer the world's biggest music awards. The ripple effects are still being felt. KPop Demon Hunters 2 is already in production at Netflix and Sony Pictures Animation. EJAE has signed a major record deal. Audrey Nuna and Rei Ami have seen their profiles skyrocket. The fictional HUNTR X has become a real cultural force, with fans treating them like an actual K-pop group. More importantly, the music industry has taken notice. Korean cultural elements are showing up in music from artists who have no connection to Korea. Production techniques pioneered by K-pop producers are being adopted by mainstream American artists. The influence is flowing in all directions now. Looking back, Golden's Grammy win feels inevitable. It took a perfect storm, a global pandemic that made everyone more open to digital entertainment, a streaming platform willing to invest in Korean content, talented Korean and Korean American artists ready to bridge cultural gaps, and a story that resonated with audiences hungry for representation and escapism. But it also took something else. It took removing the traditional gatekeepers. BTS had to go through traditional music industry channels, record labels, radio programmers, industry insiders who might have unconscious biases. Golden bypassed all that by going straight to audiences through Netflix, letting viewers decide what they liked without industry intermediaries telling them what was worthy of awards. In the end, K-pop's first Grammy didn't come from the most obvious source. It didn't come from the biggest names or the most traditional songs. It came from 3 animated characters, a song about fighting demons, and a story about finding strength in your identity. But maybe that's fitting. K-pop has always been about breaking rules, challenging expectations, and creating something new from familiar elements. Golden's Grammy win wasn't just a victory for K-pop, it was K-pop in its purest form, taking existing musical structures and making them into something uniquely powerful. So, there you have it. The complete story of how K-pop finally won its first Grammy, not through the expected path of established superstars, but through the unexpected vehicle of animated Demon Hunters and a Netflix movie that nobody saw coming. It's a reminder that in the entertainment industry, the most significant breakthroughs often come from the most unexpected places. What do you think about K-pop's first Grammy win coming from fictional characters? Do you think this opens the door for more K-pop success at the Grammys, or was this just a one-off moment? And how do you feel about the debate over whether Golden truly represents traditional K-pop or something new? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this deep dive into one of music history's most unexpected breakthrough moments, make sure to hit that subscribe button and the notification bell. There's always something happening in the world of music and entertainment, and I'll be here to break it down for you. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.